Remember when I said that the poor quality of the battles in this arc is concerning because it means that the most climactic and important battles in it will end up failing to be as memorable, impactful, amazing, and spectacular as they need and deserve to be? Well, this episode proves that my fears were not unfounded. Nearly every scene that should pulse with energy instead feels stiff and lifeless. When Lapras fires a hydro pump at Pagogo, who shields itself with Protect, neither Pokemon moves. Only their attacks do, in simple, repetitive patterns. Minimal motion meant to mask the lack of actual movement. Kleavor's attack on Sableye isn't any better. It's practically a still frame. The axe given only a static shake or blur to fake a downward swing. Cap's double team against Gouging Fire relies purely on camera pans rather than dynamic choreography. The screen just moves from left to right, providing an illusion of action. Then there's Sableye using Throat Chop on Gouging Fire, which looks like a literal PNG being dragged across the screen. Cap darting around Gouging Fire only loops the same repetitive motions, leaving the fight feeling robotic instead of intense. Moments that should make you lean forward with excitement, Meowscarada parrying Kleavor's axes, or narrowly avoiding a cleave, instead make you lean back in disbelief. There's no weight, no physicality. Her claws stop enormous stone axes without recoil, impact, or strain. It's as if physics took the day off. She sidesteps a cleave like it's nothing. There's no sense of danger or urgency, no effort, and basically no movement because it happens so painfully slowly, which can be said for most of the battle actually. This is deliberate. The slower the action, the fewer frames they need. There's also so many weird angles and close-ups, clearly to obscure how bad the animation actually is. It's disgraceful and a mess. One Terrasto and the Mega Evolution cannot fix, since they end up being glitter sprinkled over cardboard, shiny but lifeless. So despite the emotional and the narrative weight this battle has, it feels stagnant, empty, and void of intensity. What should feel like an all-out war against impossible odds ends up feeling like a PowerPoint presentation with sparkles on top, which is incredibly disappointing. Thankfully, Dot vs. Chelsea is better, though still not great. It has more actual motion, sure, but it's still repetitive, simple, and nowhere near as dynamic as it could and should be. This is perfectly illustrated by this near still frame that uses streak lines to suggest motion, rather than actually having any. What truly saves this battle is Tinkaton using her Corviknight slaying technique to toss debris at Medicham, which is fitting and creative, and learning Gigaton Hammer and using it to flatten Medicham like a pancake in one hit, which is so epic and satisfying and is easily the best moment of the episode. Especially because one of my nitpicks about episode 109 was that she didn't learn Gigaton Hammer upon evolving. Turns out they were saving it for this episode, and honestly, that's completely fine. I always knew she'd learn it eventually, just not this soon. But the timing works and the impact is great. Beyond the two battles, there are several other things worth discussing. First, it turns out that I was right about Cervantes. He didn't betray Liko and friends. He was simply used to lure them into a trap. So he's still one of the good guys, which is nice. Second, I originally thought Hamber trained all the Explorer admins, including Chelsea, but the fact that he calls her sensei changes everything. She must be far more experienced, influential, and important than she seems, right? And the fact he says she has truly changed suggests that the two of them go way back, and there was a time when she wouldn't have followed Spino, meaning something, presumably significant, made her change. Chelsea is now without a doubt a far more compelling and interesting character, which is fantastic. I absolutely cannot wait to learn more about her and her past. I, however, don't like the way she blackmails Hamber into standing down. The logic feels off. They already know he's a traitor, so what difference does it make whether he fights them or not? This just feels like an excuse to have Dot battle Chelsea instead. Finally, we have Super Strong Spheres and Pagogo. Super Strong Spheres are clearly more potent than their predecessors, and thus far more dangerous. The fact that the heroes have Laquium crystals growing from them suggests that the power boost and the after effects are stronger. Despite this, however, they are not immune to Pagogo, who still purifies the Laquium. So no matter how far the explorers push their technology, Pagogo remains their biggest threat. Though unfortunately only temporarily, because if the source is not dealt with, the corruption will simply spread again. This adds veracity to Diana's theory. Perhaps Pagogo can get rid of Laquium for good if it draws power from all 18 Pokemon types. This episode makes a strong case for this to be one of the next big steps Pagogo and the story will have to take in the future. So overall, this episode is very much a mixed bag. The sluggish, awful animation, repetitive, painful lack of motion, flat, uninspired choreography, and the complete absence of impact and intensity completely destroyed my enjoyment of what is on paper a pivotal and definitive final boss type of battle meant to close out this arc with a bang. What saves this episode from being an absolute disaster is Dot vs. Chelsea, which cannot escape the issues that have been plaguing this arc from the start, but is at least more entertaining thanks to some creativity and Gigaton Hammer. Chelsea suddenly becoming a far more fascinating character, and the showcase of Pagogo's limitations, which adds value to episode 108 and Diana's appearance in it. Even so, this episode was painful and frustrating to watch. I can only hope that the next episode will be able to make up for this. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, feel free to click the links on screen. And if you'd like to support the channel and help me keep making content like this, you can find all the ways to do so in the description and in the pinned comment. Whether it's through a small donation or just watching and sharing, every bit of support means the world to me. Thank you so very much for watching, and let's meet again in the next video.